How's it going, guys? I'm Mike Dwyer from the Bunker Recordings and BetterMixes.com, and today I'm going to show you how to use saturation to make your snare drum sound absolutely massive. So let's take a quick look at our snare drum without the saturation applied. So that sounds pretty solid. So let's bring up a saturation plugin here. I have Saturn by FabFilter. And you can get pretty crazy with this plugin, but we've got a pretty basic setting here. All that I did was put it onto clean tape mode. That's just the type of saturation that it's applying. And then crank the drive up to a little over half. And let's see what that sounds like. And without it. Now, obviously, it's a lot louder, but I want you to watch this meter here. So I'll show you with it off first. So we're peaking a little above -6 here. And now let's turn Saturn on. So it sounds way louder, but we're actually peaking a little bit lower than without it. So what's going on here is if we look at our snare drum, it's got this really, really big transient in the front of it before leveling out a bit. And a lot of the time when we compress our snare drum, we're exaggerating that transient even more. But then by saturating it, we're kind of chopping off this spike here without losing the impact. So what this does for us is we can get our snare drum a lot louder without hitting our drum bus or mix bus compressor too hard. So just to show you, let me print this snare with and without the saturation, just so you can visibly see the difference. Okay, so now you can really see what I was talking about. This top one here is our snare drum with just the EQ and compression, and then this bottom one is with the added saturation. So they're both peaking at about the same level, but you can see how this one's just been leveled off here. It's basically totally flat at the beginning. But because of how short this transient is, you really don't hear this as like bad, crunchy, nasty distortion, unless you go really far with it. But it just makes it sound bigger and ballsier, and like I said, it doesn't hit your compressors later on in the chain as hard. And I just want to show you that you can do this with a lot of plugins, because I know FabFilter Saturn isn't the cheapest thing around, and there's a pretty good chance you already own something that you could do this with. So let's turn that off and we'll get the same thing here. This is Newfangled Audio Saturate, which is basically just a clipper, which is another form of saturation. So let's check that one out. And again, remember to watch the meters while I turn these on and off. And then sometimes I'll even do it with like the VCC by Slate here, which is a console emulation. But if you just drive the heck out of it, it's creating saturation. So let's check that one out. And last but not least, we have Slate's tape machine here. Again, just driving the heck out of it. And there's a million other things you could use. You could try Decapitator by Sound Toys, or even the free Lo-Fi plugin that comes with Pro Tools, or I'm sure there's dozens more that would work great. Obviously, they're all going to sound a little bit different, but they're all going to get the job done. So try this out in your next mix, and let me know in the comments down below if it works for you. And if you like this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And don't forget to head on over to BetterMixes.com to grab a free copy of my Ultimate EQ cheat sheet.